Yo, so what are we getting right now? We're getting Bitcoin creeping and creeping and creeping to the upside. Very similar to what we saw in this area over here where we started to slow down. And we know what slowing down basically means. It means we are prepping for the next move. Now, ideally, we can see Bitcoin is starting to form a bull flag, and we can see that very clearly at the moment. And then what we have is we have this really big wedge that's going to the upside, and it's basically tracking this whole move and narrowing it down to a very important decision. Now we know that Bitcoin's just hit 23,000, and after 23,000 we have 25,000, which is very possible, and it is showing what the top of this is. And then after that, we then have the area of the 28,000 and then the 33,000. We basically have a stepping ladder of where we're expecting to get. And then on the other side, what we have is the pullback. The pullback where we can finally flip the dominance. The dominance is moving very strong right now. And why will it stop? Why will the dominance give love to altcoins? Why will the altcoins pump? Because if we look at these two charts over here, I want to show you that if we look at the total three, which is the altcoins, you could see that this is the market cycle, right? The cheat sheet. And where you see the circle over here is where Bitcoin's at. Bitcoin is currently at that level over there. And we can see how very far behind the altcoins actually are. You can see Bitcoin's all the way up there. Altcoins are still down here. So what we're basically seeing is we are looking at the very important Wall Street cheat sheet, because it's so important. It gives you a time frame of where the market feels emotionally right now. And we have this big discussion. It's a big discussion in the show. And that discussion is the anger phase. Are we here? I think that's the big question. Because right now, Bitcoin chart-wise is here. Altcoins not there just yet, but that makes sense. We still have the dominance on the upside. And at some point, we're going to have the flush out and basically flip to altcoins and get altcoins to this level. Is the pressure still coming? I want you guys to pop in the chat. So straight after the intro, I want to see what you think. Are we in anger? Did we just come out of anger? Are we here? Is the pressure still coming, or are we in disbelief? You guys tell me. No more wasting time, James. So much to talk about. How about you stop eating again and let's get into the show. Let's hit it.
Click, have you heard the news? What? With his finger on the pulse, it's like Sheldon knew. Click, when the sniper shoots, we got Sheldon on the chart, so we never lose. Enter the sniper, 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏. Enter the sniper, he marks the charts right. Enter the sniper, he's calling the cycles. So enter the sniper, click. Time to be dedicated, sniper mode is activated. Explosions in the market are in target, and Sheldon demonstrates. Mirror on the wall, Master Sheldon tell us all. We got Sheldon on the chart, so we never lose. Enter the sniper, 𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗬𝗕𝗏. Enter the sniper, he marks the charts right. Enter the sniper, he's calling the cycles. Enter the sniper, click. Enter the sniper.
Yo, Banter fam, how are we doing today? What is the chat saying? What are we in? Are we in disbelief? Panic? Why are we in panic? Why are you panicking, bro? The market's been rallying. Maybe the panic buys and the FOMO, that's fine. Anger, of course. Are you angry right now? Are you angry that the market tricked you and made you feel like, it was continuing to go down and it just pumped out of nowhere? Please tell me, how are we feeling? Disbelief. Now, let's actually have a discussion on that for 2 secs. Before I do that, if you have a look, let me share the correct screen. I have the promotion for you guys. Ron did give it away yesterday. And when he did give it away yesterday, the Rolex, they did not claim it. So the two Rolexes are still up for grabs. We have the ByBit Rolex and we have the Bitget Rolex. And if you have a look at the two over here, if you sign up with one of the exchanges and you trade on that account, it qualifies you. You need to follow myself and Run and Crypto Banter on Twitter as well to claim your prize. And basically, you can win either one of these beautiful watches. I'm sad. It's nearly time to let them go. But beautiful. So this one is ByBit. This one is Bitget. They are absolutely amazing, and we are giving it away before the end of February. And then what we have is the Discord, which you can get into if you have an OKX, a ByBit, a Bitget, or a Binance account. You get into our VIP on Discord, and from that, you're able to enter Sheldon's charts from the shows, and you get all of my trades. And that's where the live trading session is coming, because when Bitcoin does decide, I don't quit, guys, I don't quit. When Bitcoin does decide to slowly lose momentum, I still think that little shakeout wick is coming, and that's going to give us the attempt to get the correct altcoin entries and possibly give a really great short-term short. I think it's going to be quick. I think it's going to be something that's going to change the dominance, which is a big one. But let's jump back into the discussion. And the discussion was disbelief. Now, disbelief, yes, we are at that stage where we're rubbing our eyes and we're like, what is happening? Why is the market waking up so quick? But one thing we do have to understand about disbelief is if you do look at the market cheat sheet, disbelief is supposed to come way later when we actually get into higher levels. Now, let me ask you the question. The question is, would you rather be more in disbelief where we are right now at 22,900 or if Bitcoin's $35,000? I believe that's disbelief. I believe that's where it's like, whoa, now all of a sudden, all that damage over all that time, now we're sitting at a way higher level. So I believe you when we're saying disbelief, but I think if you look at the real understanding of the markets, emotionally, disbelief comes later. It comes later when we really crack the higher ranges. Now, are we confident that Bitcoin can go higher from here? Yes. 25K, 28K. Are we speaking 40K, 50K? That's very hard for me to understand and justify just yet. Now, we know Sniper, I'm bullish. I've always been bullish and I plan to be bullish. But I'm also putting myself into everyone's mind here where we are emotionally right now. And this is where the interesting chat starts. Because if you had to look at time frame, Bitcoin has never, straight out of a bear market, just went full bull. It's never done it. It's basically done a relief rally. Okay, where that little bit of that slight disbelief just after the lows, it has this little relief rally, which we're speaking a possibility of a 28 to 30K within the next 3 to 4 months. You know, that is still a definite possibility, but it's never just gone back to all-time highs. So time frame wise, we always have to respect the markets. That when it comes down from a really ugly year as 2022 to a damaging year, one where we survived really strongly, but it is a really strong damaging year. It takes a slight bit of time for Bitcoin to range. That gives time for the big guys to fill up their wallets. Over time, it really sucks the market dry, gets rid of all the retail, of all the money, and then we start to get them in because we need retail to buy the tops. So that's why it sort of takes time. And if you look currently here with Bitcoin, I see it like this. The only difference that it made this time from the normal cheat sheet is usually after euphoria, you have a slightly lower high, complacency. But where they tricked all of us this year, or the last bull run, was they made the higher high. And for us, we were like, 100,000, we're moving, we're shooting to the moon. And that was the biggest trick. This is where they all hit us with a big loser sign at us. And this is where they obviously trapped us all. And then after that, what I saw was the anxiety, the denial, the panic, and the capitulation, right? And we were basically looking at this phase over here before the FTX. We're like 30K, or like, where is this little move over here? Because let's actually take this for a second and let's actually look at it. And the way you look at this to understand it, here's it here, sorry. There we go. If you have a look at this, this is exactly what we are seeing. This is where they tricked us. They hit that a little bit higher, cheeky. But then you saw the anxiety, the denial, the panic. You know, we all felt panicked 2-3 months ago. We were really panicking at those stage, capitulation. And then what we were waiting for was that little push up to take us back because we hit 25K. We're like, where's this area over here? And then the market decided to dump. It literally decided after that to have another leg down. And what it shows on the market cheat sheet is it does show that anger is slightly lower than capitulation. That's what really makes the market ugly. And then from that, what it does next is it makes its way up. And it basically takes us to the higher range. Now, if we had to put this onto the Bitcoin chart right now, we could see that that range is basically this last area of 24 to 25K. You know, let's get our understanding of what this is basically showing us. And right now we're making our way up. And then what it's showing us after that is the market actually hits an area. And this is why I was saying, guys, I like this Bitcoin pump. It's amazing high time frame. I just don't like that it's moving consistently and just going straight up in a line. It's not even stopping. It's just going and going and going. And for me, that gets really suspicious when we're not creating flags. You know what I mean? When we're not doing this, you know, we go up, we create a flag, and then we make a next leg. We're not getting any of that right now. We're just getting this absolute just rampage to the upside. And for me, that is quite scary. But let's put the scenario that this is basically telling us that we go here, and then from here, we start the slow death is what it's basically showing us if we had to look at the cheat sheet. And says that's where it gets into depression. Now, depression doesn't mean a lower low, because if you look at the last cycle, it never made a lower low. There was the previous low. And basically, when we got out of this little leg that I'm speaking about that I think we are currently in now, do you see this depression phase? This like slow. And then it hits that last one. And then we start the road to recovery. And that was ideally perfectly in plan when you look at this, where it basically came, here we go, here we go, here we go, quick little shakeout, get us to the lows. And then after that, we start off the disbelief phase. Now, I'm sure a lot of us can sit here and agree with that we do think if Bitcoin keeps following the same way it's doing now, that 2024 should be the bull run. Okay. And now you need to plan out this year that we've just come out of an 80% drop within the market. We actually only went 78% on Bitcoin. And the last one, we went 81% in the 2017. So we basically hit it, but it does show a small room for maybe that 14 at any point. But chart-wise, it's definitely showing us this. And I need you to have that in the back of your head so we can be prepared for whatever happens. Now, what's interesting about this is you look at this, and I'm trading like this for now. And the reason being is when we have the next pullback, where that pullback stops is the most important part of this whole run we've just done now. So for me, there is a point where we're going to slow down, and I'm tracking that every day. That's why I'm telling you guys, protect yourself. There's going to be that pullback. But where that pullback stops is the most important thing. We have to reclaim and make sure that it's not another little fake out where we make this high and then all of a sudden we come all the way down to the low ranges. So taking profits or getting out and protecting us of this area makes sense. And where we end this, we will track that down. And when we break that out, that's cool. But for me, this is what the market is showing emotionally what we need next. We need the slow dryness of this to the downside. Now, I don't want to be the bearish one, but let me now bring some good news, okay? And the good news is this. Let's get the chart over here. Let's look at the altcoins now. This is the exciting part. This is the exciting part. This is what I was saying. The altcoins is probably the big opportunity that we have to take advantage of this run. I believe you'll be too late for the Bitcoin pump. But let's look at this now, at the same thing. Now, we had the same play. This played out better than the Bitcoin one itself. But ultimately, you can see euphoria. You can actually see the market, the cheat sheet. You can see it very clearly placed out on the chart. You can actually see all the emotions being played out. This will be a savior for a very long time, guys, the simple thing. But you can see how it basically played out and how we ended up with the capitulation and then in anger. Now, what we don't have is we don't have this little leg to the upside. This little one over here, where you basically get to the top of the range, that's something that we are not seeing within the altcoins. Now, that for me is interesting because we saw that the altcoins have only just crossed the 200-day moving average now. And there's this trend line that we're waiting to break. So we know there's still an altcoin catch-up to come. And what we're basically expecting the catch-up to be is to the top of this area for now. For now, I'm expecting us at any point of those areas to get a strong rejection. We'll see where we land after that low because chart-wise, it's basically showing us that altcoins should hit a big-ass rally now. Any points, we'll speak about how we're going to know when that starts. And then it should do this. That's what emotionally it is basically showing. So it's very important for us to get the rest of this and to make sure we understand what could come next after that area. But if we had to look at the percentage-wise, I do think that the pullback still comes at any point, but you're still basically looking at a 30 to 40% total market cap catch-up. Now, this makes a lot of sense when you actually jump to the simple chart of the dominance, where the dominance now is getting to an area where it's spiking to the upside. You can see how it has hit this little rampage. At the end of the day, this is what gave Bitcoin the momentum to get where it needed to get. But what we are expecting is we're getting to an area now. If I take a 618 and I take the understanding that it's showing slightly more upside within dominance, and then we're going to have this big pullback. And for me, this is the pullback where we have that run for the altcoins to get that 30, 40%. The problem that we're facing right now is Bitcoin is not pulling back. And because Bitcoin is not pulling back, people are just focused on Bitcoin and the dominance is going clearly out. So what was interesting was when I actually looked at the market cycle, and let me actually go back to the Bitcoin chart. This is what was interesting, is if you have a look here and I zoom in, do you see when Bitcoin gets to this area over here? Do you see how it has this quick little shakeout here? How it has this little drop and then it goes back and it basically just goes sideways for a little while. Okay. Now I said yesterday, and I spoke to you guys about the only way we're going to get this dominance to turn is a catalyst, is a shift in the market where we actually get a wick or something. And that's what I still feel is coming. And I feel that's where you get to take advantage on getting the altcoin entries. And that I'm still going to go through in the show. Where exactly? Because the entries have gone a little bit higher now because the market is continuing to move. But that's going to be the actual push. And if I look at that now, when it comes to the actual Bitcoin chart, for me, it makes sense that Bitcoin, as long as we in this uptrend here, Bitcoin can keep moving. And we have 23 and we have 25. Okay. Is basically the main targets for now. But when we lose this momentum, what I'm expecting is a shakeout wick. I'm expecting a liquidation hunt. I spoke to the team this morning and all of our researchers, and I'm like, how is the leverage, guys? And they said leverage is starting to spike. So a lot of people are longing now and the leverage is getting up. And when the leverage gets up, the exchanges sit there and they lick their lips. How do I make myself a quick $200, $300 million? Now let's keep sending it a little bit more. Let's send one wick down, grab all that liquidity, and then let's continue the actual road up. Now we need that. We need that wick, because when that happens is when I'm seeing the dominance. I'll paint the picture for you again, where I see the dominance wick up here on the start of the dump. And then basically what happens when the dump is bought up or it's hit that area, then all of a sudden we're going to have a diversification. And for me, now it makes sense. If I look at the market's cheat sheet, guys, we can't sit here and say the market cheat sheet is a big one for us to pay attention to. Let's get this back up over here. And that's where that little wick makes sense. Because for me, many times in trading, it's like we expect this dominance to turn, but the dominance only turns on a big move. Think about it. Dominance only went up now because of the FTX crash. So only because we got a huge pull in the market that we finally get that dominance going up. Because dominance in that time, when the market was 20K, dominance was doing this. I'm like, whoa, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And all of a sudden, we hit the FTX crash, and this is where it started to push it. So that's why I've been sitting and saying with you guys that this wick, this pullback is coming. And when it comes, it's going to reverse the dominance, and it's going to give us that altcoin catch-up that we are needing and that we are waiting for, because emotionally wise, it shows us the next move, emotion-wise, for the altcoins. And it's exactly that one over there that pushes us up to this area. So I wanted to teach you guys on that and give you that understanding that that's how we're going to nail the next move and get it. Now, let's jump into it and let's actually speak about this next move on many of the coins, because I'm starting to get some warning signs on some altcoins and I'm getting some bullish signs on other altcoins throughout that actual time. Let's get through it. There we go. Okay. So if we look over here with Bitcoin, it's very simple. Now we are starting to get a true momentum line. Okay. And that momentum line, reason why I'm saying it's a true one this time is because you actually have resets of RSIs. You actually have a full reset where this RSI reset properly. And now you've had two full RSI resets throughout that time. Now we know that we have a good one, and we've just come from a third one over here, over there. So now we know that this is a true momentum line right now. And when we lose this momentum line is when I'm expecting us to have that quick shakeout. Now that shakeout for me goes to two different areas. The first one is the possibility is basically back to the 21,000, which makes sense. We have this wick back down, and from here, quick wick into these areas, a little bit of time, and then we can make our way up. But wherever this leg ends for Bitcoin over here, this next push up, I don't see it getting much higher. I see it possibly getting here to the areas over here. And for me, this is the leg where the altcoins go absolutely crazy. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about some altcoins doing 70, 80%. I'm talking about some doing really crazy things. And those are the ones that now are currently, if not breaking 200-day moving average or breaking really long time wedges throughout those times. And I'll give you guys those altcoins now shortly. But basically, that's the first scenario. The second scenario is maybe slightly a little bit more. You know, maybe there is a possibility where this actually decides to do a very nasty wick to the 20K to the 19K area. And if that had to happen, you'd obviously get extreme bargains with altcoins through those areas. But it would make sense on the daily. If you had to look at a chart that does this, does that look unhealthy? No, it doesn't. That looks like a good retracement for another leg, right? And that's the same thing. So don't count out that this wick could take us to 20K. If they really wanted to get nasty and they really wanted to liquidate a lot of people throughout those areas, it makes sense that it could make those zones. But the first target for me is the 21. And ideally, what it's going to do for us is when this does make its way down over here, we'll be tracking that. I'm with you guys every day. I'm consistent. I'm here every day. And we'll catch that breakout beautifully within the altcoins. But you need to be aware of the main areas that we're going to make our way to after that. So this thing's definitely coming. And for me, I'm attempting again, being a lot more cautious with it and dollar costing. But when we lose this momentum line, I'm definitely going to be looking at ways of some short-term shorts. I'm going again. Same thing. If this breaks over here, my stop loss is there and I'm going again. For me, I'm not afraid of those. Put stop losses always, guys, and go watch all the tutorials, all the masterclasses. I've taught you guys this many times before. Make sure you got the stop losses. But look at the little signs we're getting. So look at Ethereum. Now, Ethereum for me is hitting a little bit of a slowdown period. And it might be telling us something before Bitcoin, okay? Because Ethereum's been the one that's been fighting with Bitcoin and been holding strong with Bitcoin over the last while. But what you're starting to see is yesterday we had a weird wick. And I saw it with some altcoins as well. I saw this weird, this is quite a big 4-hour candle where these wicks are just coming out of nowhere. And look at these sell candles that we're starting to get in this area. And now what I'm seeing now is in 41 minutes, we're possibly going to have Ethereum close under this line over here, the first 4-hour close below the trend. And for me, that's showing a slight momentum drop. Now, the first thing I want to check just before that is I want to make sure where did it stop? And you can see it stopped at a very, very critical stage. You know, we all want to sit here and say, why must we protect ourselves? We're bullish with that. We thought we were bullish here too. And look what happened. It literally went all the way from 1,650. And that's why I'm saying this next pullback, where we land, is so important because they just trapped us. They trapped us now in October, where they literally sent Ethereum to the moon and they sent it straight down to the ground very fast straight after that. And that's why I'm saying it's so important to see. Look at that. Boom. Absolute crazy throughout those times. And now we can see we're starting to get the sign. So if you are looking for a cheeky little short, you know, it's something where small part of your portfolio trading or something like that. If we close below here, ETH for me is starting to show short-term weakness, which means the next push up, it will show strength. But for now, it is showing weakness. And I'll be looking at the shorting areas over here and a tight stop loss at 144. It's a 1%. 1%, 1.2% stop loss. That's great. Where I'm seeing Ethereum come down to is very similar to where I'm seeing Bitcoin come down to. And it basically gets me to the area of 1,450. So if you want to get an understanding of where that basically gets us is a 10 to 12% pullback. And what that does for me in that time is it basically comes and tests this trend line, this major trend line that we broke out of, and we have not retested yet. And it's a healthy area for us to pull back. Ethereum still comes down to these zones over here. So for me, for anyone that's a short, that looks great. And then for those who don't have Ethereum longs, because I still think Ethereum is going to be a ripper on the next push up when that dominance decides to really fall, this is your long areas between 1,400 and 1,450. Now, where I see the market move after this is where the interesting part comes with the altcoins, is I'm basically seeing this quick shakeout that comes. And from here, I'm then seeing the big move. And this big move can get ETH anywhere between 1,800 to the $2,000 level, which is the next resistance after that. So I'll show you over there. It's this resistance of these previous highs. Let me get it more. Here we go. This high over here, which is basically the $2,000 level after that. So the next leg's big. It's smaller for Bitcoin, but it's bigger for altcoins. And if you have to take it percentage-wise from the areas, it's a 21, if not a 37%. This is from Ethereum that I'm seeing this next move come at these times. So that's very interesting. Now let's start looking at it a little bit more aggressively and the current markets, you know, and a lot more of the other altcoins that we're looking at. Like you look at BNB right now. So yes, Bitcoin for me in that upwards wedge can still slowly creep its way up. But what I'm expecting is the same thing when it comes to BNB, is the areas of 280, you know, a 10 to 12%. But the big ones that I want to speak about are these ones. Because for me, I think it's going to be a big opportunity, which is the Solana one. For me, that huge short is still coming very much. The first one, as we can see over here right now, is if we look at the momentum line to the upside, we can be breaking this within the next half a day, right? In the next 4 to 6 hours, we can be breaking this. And for me, this would be a great little short-term short, because this is how I'm seeing it play out. I'm seeing a stop loss in this area here and a close, an entry in the zone, and I'm seeing a push here, right? 10 to 12%. Then after that, I'm seeing a Solana move. And that Solana move takes us all the way close to the 30% mark. And if you look at this pullback over here to that area, I'm looking at 30 to 35% on a Solana move. And it was the same thing with the BNB. BNB right now, I think is going to slow down. And my entries, I have two, between 290 and the 270 on a really bad wick. But I still see it hitting the $360 before we hit the major areas. If you take all of these altcoins, and I want you to take this little candle thing over here and go to the line, and you can actually get a proper feel of what the chart's actually doing for you. And you go to the higher time frames. You can also go match it up very beautifully with that market cheat sheet. You can actually take it with that cheat sheet and be like, where are we? And what it's showing here is it's showing that Bitcoin's here right now and BNB is here. So basically, it makes sense that if we have depression after that, that it makes it to this area. But one thing you must also look at on the next altcoins, you need to play it smart. We need to get the big gainers, guys. Is this move over here? Let's actually clean the chart so you can see it clearly. This little move over here, it is decent, but you have missed a big part of it in that area. We want to find the ones that are slightly less. But end of the day, 20, 30%, whatever is part of your trading plan or your structure of what you need on the next trade, you can decide which one there. But BNB is looking really good. Let's look at Litecoin. Now, Litecoin for me is another interesting one that I spoke about, but Litecoin comes back down to $78 for me for that entry. And after that, I'm looking at to get to $130. So it's a huge move that comes on the next one to the upside. Yo. Who's
Sheldon,
this guy? Who's this guy? Yeah.
Why does this office smell like marijuana?
So if you want to know, I have my boys arriving tomorrow, and I had to.
Sure.
I had to get them a little bit of stock.
You know, no one won the watch yesterday. No one won this.
Which one did you going to give? This one.
One like this, yeah.
Ah.
No one won it.
No one won it.
No one won it yesterday. We know what that means.
When are you giving the next one?
Possibly today, if we get enough likes.
Okay.
It all depends on the number of likes, but possibly today we're going to give away the watch.
Okay.
Hopefully today we're going to give away a watch.
Okay. And how are you selecting the winner?
Random number generator. Anyone that's got a ByBit link, random number generator.
And that's been trading.
And one trade equals one entry. We'll choose the entry. We'll choose the trade. You've got 5 hours to claim the watch. If no one claimed the watch.
No one claims it.
Did you smoke the marijuana?
No.
Your eyes look a bit like...
I did it, I promise.
Just let me see. Smiling's not going to help. I mean,
No, I promise. I'm not high. You can see I'm not high. I've been behaving. I've been really good this year, actually. Really, really, really good. No, I'm not good. I promise. Later, bro. On Saturday, me and you can go for... Okay. So let's get back. Ran always sends me to this confusion stage. Okay, amazing. So the next big ones that I want to speak about is same thing with AVAX. So if you look at AVAX now, I want you to do this, guys. When it comes, you can see very nicely now that all of these are creating beautiful momentum lines. And that's what's going to create your next big shorts, okay, in those areas. AVAX is showing a slight more upside of around 19 to 20. And then after that, wait for the momentum line, guys. Don't rush shorts now, because shorts, they're going to catch you at any point. Wait for the clear breaks of these trends. And we are getting really decent ones now. And basically the same thing here is I'm expecting it to get to $15. Now, the next move is the interesting one, because AVAX for me was one that basically broke a really long-term upwards trend. And for me, the next move that it gets to after this takes it to way crazier levels of up to 25, and the next one's up to $30. So you can see how big I'm expecting the next one, and why I'm making sure that we haven't been rushing the previous small ones, because we still have the big one to come. But that wick is coming, guys. And the best way to catch that wick is to put your limit orders in now, but put limit orders like this. I would put 30 to 40% in a limit order, and the rest I'll buy on a break of trend when we're down there. because it can, chart-wise, it shows it can get extremely ugly. This could be one of the biggest traps of all time. It could be. They've done it many times, and it can be. We just saw it on the Ethereum chart. So prepare for that. But Polkadot, let's actually speak about Polkadot. I heard there's some news there, or APY or something, that they 60%, if you stake it, you get 60% on your dot, which is crazy. Be careful with that stuff. But that's what's created the pump. But dot's coming to life. Dot's definitely coming to life. It is slowing down at a non-resistance, which does mean a slightly possible high of $7. But for me, the retest comes at 5.5. And this is the one that I want, because after that, if we don't hit the 7.5 now, it's the next leg to the upside. And above that is we have the $9 to $10 mark, which is where I see it coming. Guys, after this next leg to the upside of the altcoins, I think it might be over. This leg, this bullishness, I think it might go slightly over. And that actually reminds me, let's actually go through this and see these charts as well. Same with Ape. Look at this. TP time, TP time, TP time. I'm going to keep saying it, guys. I'm going to keep saying near TP time. Take profits, take profits, take profits. If you need the money in your long term, start dollar costing out. If you need the money, if you're holding it for 2 years, it's fine. Depends where your entry is at. But if you need the money, start dollar costing out. A possible trade that was looking good earlier is this one over here, was MATIC. I saw MATIC started to wake up. And if it does, guys, focus on the 12-hour chart. This one is going to be a beautiful short when it plays out, because it's just so beautifully lined up and it's so obvious in your face when it's going to lose steam. And when it loses steam, it comes back down to this area, which for you would be, if we lost steam over there, would be a 9 to 12% short, which is great. But if we get a 12-hour breakout here and we close outside, always wait for closing candles, guys. Very important. We saw the other day when we had the news how they shot the market up, but it never closed above those trends. And that's when they spiked everyone down to the downside. But look at this when it comes to MATIC. MATIC has a really nice push, and it may happen before we have the shakeout. If we close out today and Bitcoin starts to creep up, if it closes above here, which is basically the $1.03, $1.04, right? This has always been a really strong resistance and a hard level that the MATIC guys have been struggling to get through. I'm seeing a strong push to the 1.15. So there's a 10% to trade there on the short time frame for you guys, but I am seeing it come back down to 85 or 86 cents after that at any point. So this may be a possible trade today. So think about it. There's one or two altcoins that there's some longs, short-term longs, right? Possibility of DOT, possibility of MATIC. And then what you have after that is many shorts lining up. Many of those momentum lines. Look at THETA. Absolutely ripping. It's showing a possible little bit more to 1.3, 1.4. And then the push all the way down. My mom even said she's got take profit orders at around 90 cents for THETA over there. That's where we want to catch it, because the next one, the next move for me for THETA gets to 1.4 to 1.6. So it's a huge push. I've spoken about these many before, but what's the point of me giving 1,000 altcoins? We need to master the list that we have right now. It makes a lot more sense for us to get those. Same with Cardano, slightly more up, but the shakeout is coming. Now, there's another important chart which everyone was speaking about yesterday. And it was actually the, let's find it. It was this chart over here. Okay. Now, we said the big worry of a possible drop out of the market or something that could have helped the dump was the S&P, right? And reason being is because it was creating like this, I like to call it the chopstick sort of thing, where you basically have this wedge that's growing bigger. And we keep making lower highs, lower lows, and we keep this big downside move. Yesterday, we finally broke it. And today might be the first day that we actually close outside of it. It'll be very interesting if that does actually happen, if we close out there. And that could mean something crazy for the stock market, because this is obviously a big catalyst. It would be that hopefully that this gets us 𝗥𝗍𝗕 down to these lower levels. And that would be the ideal bullish scenario. And if we have this, I just want to paint the picture and end it off with this. If we have this in 𝗥𝗍𝗕 and we have this within stock markets, let's get the S&P, this within stock markets to this area, I still think after that it's going to hit a nasty that. And we have total 3 and we have dominance collapse. That gives us a crazy run within altcoins. And if you have a look here as well, guys, which is the USDT dominance. Okay, it's a chart that I haven't shown for a while. The reason why the markets have been erupting and moving fast because we lost a major trend, right? This is tracking USDT. And you could see that everyone's been basically getting into the market. But what we haven't done just yet is if you look at the RSIs, let's even have a look. The weekly's getting to the bottom, which is not a good sign, but there's still a little bit of time there. But what we are expecting here is I'm expecting this bad boy to bounce, lower high, and then the big leg. That's exactly what I'm expecting. And this for me is that quick wick that comes down. So guys, I'm always bullish. You know I'm always bullish. But I'm making sure that we catch it. So set your limit orders and prep for the next longs. I'm telling you again, I would TP on altcoins. Any money that you need in the markets, and we think I would start dollar costing out and I'll be getting out ASAP. I'm telling you, we're going to get a huge buy. Have a fantastic day. I love you all. Smash a like, smash the like, put comments in the description or below what coins you want me to try tomorrow, and have an absolute fantastic day. Win yourself a Rolex. I'll see you all on tomorrow's show. Much love, Ants fan.